I want to stop and point something out, and I feel like there may be some listener who, like several people have mentioned Marxism and cult, and Katie mentioned it's a Marxist cult, and I feel like there might be some people like, you guys are exaggerating, like you're like way overselling this. I don't think it's an exaggeration in any way. In the Daryl Wing Sue book, like it's explicitly pushing you towards this racialized Marxism, and it presents it as though you're supposed to have kind of this divine revelation. It's like, you'll have an epiphany, a revelation, your eyes will be opened. They even describe it as like kind of like a form of ecstasy, like a spiritual ecstasy, when you realize how racist you really are, and then you kind of overcome that by this realization of essentially critical race theory. Like, it does not seem like at all to me to exaggerate by saying that this is a Marxist cult. And I'm wondering if we could flesh that part out a little bit more. Y'all are already doing a really good job of that.
Yeah, so if you think about the sort of oppressor-oppressed matrix, it was sort of adapted. I'm thinking, for example, of Kimberly Crenshaw, and I could probably grab it, but I got one of those old Counseling the Culturally Diverse books from like the early 2000s, just out of curiosity to see the citations and things like that. And I'm like 99% sure that Kimberly Crenshaw is explicitly cited in it, but it takes that oppressor-oppressed matrix and then sort of like applies it at different, like intersectional types. So for us, like Pamela Hayes would be addressing age, gender, like all those different kinds of characteristics. So like heteronormative, so straight versus not straight, or like Christian, like a WASP versus not WASP, like that kind of thing. So they can basically turn it into anything. But it's also like they explicitly cite Paulo Freire, and Paulo Freire is was a Marxist educator from Recife, Brazil, who is in like this liberation theology paradigm that's basically Marxism with a little bit of Catholic coding. But that's like a central part of all of this. So it's, the experiential aspect and maybe the more like ideological or like religious doctrinal aspect are very much Marxist.
Oppressed, that's just baked into even like all of the counseling classes. The power differential was frequently cited.